I have
All
to
right.
organize, my 4 devices.
I know, I hear you. Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to see everybody on this snowy day. A year ago this time, we were meeting via Zoom because our face-to-face had been canceled because of the weather. So kind of wild. And Joan, you had a snow day today, right?
I did. Yep.
Anybody else have a snow day today? You can comment and chat. You can unmute and talk. Paige and Carmen.
No.
Yeah, that was one thing that you just didn't get when you worked for the state, right?
Oh,
Not often.
oh, you guys. Andrea got out at 1. Danette had a snow day.
Oh,
Go, you guys. Sandy, didn't you guys start late down there or not? I know Edgemont did and somebody else did.
Custer, somebody I saw. Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly West River in South Dakota. Well, and it's exciting to be starting the second webinar series of our second year of our cohort. We're calling this series Digital Leadership, Collaboration in the State Library. And so today we are featuring Paige from the Wyoming State Library, and we'll talk about the other 3 parts of this series when we're all done. So welcome, Paige, and thank you very much.
It sounds like it's windy. Hi, thank you, Joan. Thank you, Julie. I think this is a really great opportunity for school librarians and library staff to get familiar with the state library resources in each of their states. I sometimes think that as much as I know here in Wyoming, we try to promote our resources, a lot of times we just don't hit everybody, or people learn about it, and then we have such a high turnover rate in school libraries that, that knowledge goes by the wayside and gets lost. To start with, I will go over some of the resources. There are so many resources here at the Wyoming State Library online. Also, we have a public-facing library, so anybody can come in if you're in Cheyenne and browse the resources. The state library differs from most libraries because we primarily house state documents. Any of the state agencies that publish newsletters, reports, our Game and Fish publishes the Wyoming Wildlife Magazine. All of those publications we are required by law to have a copy of, either hard copy or a digital copy. Plus, we are in the process of digitizing many of our resources. We've done that for a lot of what we have on the shelves, but we're still, it's a time-consuming task.
Paige, do you wanna share the resources page?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Wait.
So just go down to the very bottom of your screen and there should be the green share button.
Oh, got it. Okay,
cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Well, I am so excited for you to be talking about all of the free resources that Wyoming has, because I promote the Wyoming resources too. I love them.
Well, and you're in Wyoming so often, and you're everywhere, actually. Everywhere I look, any conference I look, there's you.
I like conferences.
But yes, so we do digitize a lot of the publications that the agencies have published through time. And we have a digital collections here. I don't want to move my cursor too much and make everyone dizzy, but we do have a digital collection suite that includes newspapers that from all over Wyoming, and as far back as 1849 and anything up to 1923, which is all public domain. But those are free for anybody, anywhere on the internet to access. Wyoming Places, talking about place names and different places and the history of places in Wyoming, which I'll delve more into that a little later. State publications, you can access all of the government documents and even some federal publications that are related to Wyoming. Wyoming legislation, the journals, the bills, session laws. We also have audio files, I think starting at 2004, so you can actually listen to the legislative sessions, which is kind of neat. Wyoming inventors, there's an index of patents by people that were in Wyoming when they got the patent. And this goes all the way back to 1867. Fascinating, because there are several women who have patents way back in the 1800s, early 1900s, and it's really wonderful. And a lot of them are, kitchen-oriented things, but it's just really great to see, and great for if you want to do STEM learning and stuff like that. And then also Wyoming trademarks. We have a catalog of Wyoming trademarks issued since 1906.
And
All
I've
of these
shared.
in the digital collection.
Sorry, Paige. I just have to talk about it. I've shared the inventors because there's you'd be amazed at all the little small towns that have inventors in them, and so you can almost when I work with groups and they look at these, they can find somebody that is from their community, and that is super cool.
Yeah, it really is, and that we have them digitized. All of these in the digital collection suite, anybody can access. You don't have to be in Wyoming. And those are all definitely Wyoming focused resources. But then we go into gowild.net, and this is our portal for research and discovery tools. And this is where we house all of the databases that the state library subscribes to, as well as the University of Wyoming subscribes to many, many different databases and have negotiated statewide access. So we have the resources broken into topics, and you can find resources by the first letter of the title. Also, there's some more information down. You can see which journals we have. You type in school library journal and it'll come up, and then you can access it that way. Also information for libraries, which includes the contracts we have, databases, statistics, if you're interested in finding out the usage statistics for a particular database, we have that. And then of course, those are all purchased through the shared purchases committee that the committee actually recommends whether to get certain resources or not. And let me go back to Go Wild. But we also have, on top of the databases like Britannica and ProQuest Culturegrams, there's education databases. We have the ERIC resources, Teacher Reference Center, Educators Complete, and then Explora, and that's the teachers edition. But we have Kids K-8, which is BookFlix, really great resource there. Novelist K-8 Plus, and that's a great tool for kids to even go in and find read-alikes, or if they're, we might be having an internet issue, but and it's great to find. I think we are having a bit of an internet issue, or at least a novelist issue. But you can find titles for different age groups, find summaries of different books as well as read-alikes. There's Kids Info Bits by Gale, Middle Search Plus by EBSCO, National Geographic Kids, and this is a really great one. You can access all of their magazines, the books, and there's videos as well. So it's a great supplementary resource there. There's also some middle school resources, primary search, and these are yeah, I think we're having an issue with our Go Wild right now. Sorry that I can't show you the interface of those. Culturegrams, maybe? Oh, yeah, so Culturegrams, and this is a really great one too. Educators can go in and find resources for their lessons. This is also a great tool for kids to do research, and there's a kids edition, and that's kind of fun. And any of these resources are just really fun to look at. It's kind of a rabbit hole too if you're just exploring. Let's see. Then we also have Learning Express Library, and that is, it contains practice tests for like ACT, let's see, let's go to that. And in college admissions test prep, there's, I'm like, you can see college admissions essay writing practice. And that's a really nice resource to have. Prepare for the AP exams. Computer Skills Center, you can learn the basics of Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Outlook, and so on. Let's see, then there's also Adult Core Skills School Center, and this is elementary, middle, and high school homework help resources, which is kind of nice, mathematics as well as English language arts. And career prep, you know, there's, if somebody's interested in a particular type of work, you know, they can find out more about it, take some practice exams, join the military. There's the ASVAB practice, or prepare for the ASVAB, things like that. So it's a really robust resource there. And then Job and Career Accelerator, you know, learning to build a resume, learning to do interviews, things like that, as well as job hunting. Let's see. There's also driving tests, practice driving tests, which are handy for teenagers, as well as the manuals and stuff that go with that. And Pro Citizen, you know, for those who are looking at taking their naturalization test, there's some resources there as well. We have Chilton Library for the mechanics. We also have language learning resources. We used to have Mango, but now we have Pronunciator. They are based in Wyoming, which is kind of nice too. But you can see here, there are a ton of resources, and it can be overwhelming to learn about them. But we have webinars available that you can watch, and there's subject guides or and tutorials, so you can find out more about that. It's really tough to navigate. If you have any questions ever about this stuff, you can definitely let me know, and I can either help you, or we have a database instruction librarian here as well, whose speciality is actually these databases. But there's things for nursing, there's things for business, there's resources for arts and humanities. I mean, it's really hard to know where to actually dive into any of these, but there's a ton of stuff. History, you know, there's History Study Center, U.S. History, World History, Gale and Context. They have such great resources there. Global Issues, and used to be Global Issues in Context. Also Gale Virtual Reference. There's there's a lot of stuff. There's also the e-resources that include Cloud Library, where you can see and check out for free with your library card books, all kinds of books, and there's new books added all of the time. There's nonfiction, children's and early readers, chapter books, YA, and this is also a very robust resource, and it doesn't cost you anything if you're in Wyoming.
Now, Paige, is it any Wyoming library card, or does it have to be a state library card?
Any Wyoming library card.
That's cool.
Yeah, your local library card, and you just plug that in, and you can check out any of those.
Even school library card?
Well, a school library card would work. I don't know that we have many schools that have their own library cards. They usually go through the public library, but I could be wrong on that. But yes, any library card from Wyoming.
Okay. What was that called again, that database?
That was Cloud Library.
Thanks.
Yeah. And also another e-resource is the RB Digital audiobooks and magazines. And that's a fun one, especially if you're road tripping, or if you have a student who it benefits to have the book in front of that student as well as the audiobook going. And also magazines, and those change periodically. And I don't know that I'm actually signed in, but I'll see if we can. Yeah, so you can see here different audiobooks, and there are audiobooks geared towards youth, and then magazines as well. And I know we used to have Cobblestone and some others for younger people, but like I say, it changes quite a bit. But those are fun resources to use and to promote. And yeah, with your library card, you can access them anywhere. You don't have to be at school. You can be at home. So that's kind of nice too. How am I doing on time?
You're great.
Okay, because there are a lot more resources. And again, Go Wild, it's a collection of databases for all ages and stages. Yeah, there's early literacy stuff, Encyclopedia Britannica. We have the school, the public library edition, the academic edition, and the general edition. Also, we have a statewide circulation system, Wildcat. And if you go to that, you can check out anything from any library in Wyoming, including the state library. Like I said, we do have a lot of publications that are in circulation. We also have a professional library collection. So if you're looking for, programming, if you're looking for school library curriculum ideas, stuff like that, we have books on those particular topics. And those are also, you can find those titles in the cloud library as well. And those you can check out via interlibrary loan, and they will be sent right to your school library, or right to your school. But these are just the libraries that are signed up for it. But if you want to check something out, you type in the title, it'll tell you what library has it. You can also sign in to Wildcat, and then just say you want to check it out, and the system here will pick out the book from the library who is ready to circulate it first. So it's quite a nice system, and it'll come in the mail, and it usually only takes about 2, possibly 3 days to get it, and which is really nice. I use this all the time for books that aren't in Cheyenne. Otherwise, I just go to the city library. But
I have a question, Paige.
Yes.
This, in addition to, does it interface with the OPAC systems that public libraries have, or school libraries, or how does that work?
Well, not so much. Let's see. You can click on something. Let me get a title. Let me think of a title here. What would we like to check out? And I'm blanking on anything.
Harry Potter. Everybody
Good.
wants to check out Harry Potter.
Good one. And that should be quite common. So I just typed it in, search everything up here in the box, because, well, for this particular interface, it just is everything. And then you can go down and see who has what. But as you notice, there's a lot of different types. So you can narrow it down to books, to the video, audiobook, and so on. So if you wanted, let's say an e-audiobook. Let's do that, include the e-audiobook. Well, that's all going to be in the RB Digital, but you can see from there what that looks like. And let's go, I want to X out of that. let's just say, okay, exploring Harry Potter, the Harry Potter series. Okay, you can click on that. It gives you information, and then it also shows you which libraries have that. And this is critical insight, so it's not exactly what your students would probably want to read, but that shows you if they have it, main collection. If it's out, it will say out. And then you can, how do I sign into this?
So is this a system like Polaris and Destiny and?
I guess kind of, yeah. It's more simplified than like Destiny.
Right, but the whole state uses it.
Not everybody is actually, a lot of schools actually use Follett or other integrated library systems. Some libraries and some schools subscribe to this, and this is their actual catalog.
Okay.
But everybody has access to it.
That is just.
In the chat, Sally says her library is a wild library.
Yay! Yeah. So yeah, you can get these. You can find books and access them through this. But if you're not a wild library, then I mean, you still can. But if you have Destiny or something, then that's okay too. And like I say, you can filter stuff, and that's kind of nice. And just see where stuff is. See what, find out what libraries have what, because just because your library or your county library doesn't have a resource, somebody else in Wyoming might.
So it's a faster way than going to WorldCat.
Yeah, because like I say, if it's in Wyoming, it's going to be closer and easier. But you can also access stuff through WorldCat, and I've personally checked things out that weren't available in Wyoming, but I was able to go through our ILL system and via WorldCat and do that. Okay. I know that there's a lot of other stuff to go through. So just quickly, there's a continuing education calendar. And if you are on the school library email list, I send out a school library relevant list of the CE calendar every month when we put this together. And it's free webinars, virtual conferences, and you can sign up for them. And these are all library related. But again, once this list is done each month, at the end of each month, Thomas and I put this together and then send it out. But once that's put together, I cull it down to just the school library related events and then send that out on the school library email list so that you have a list of the events upcoming for the next month. And if it works into your schedule, you can join, or you can attend the event. Or if you register for an event, then and you can't make it, you'll get the audio record or the recording, the archived recording. But it's really handy. There's a lot of great events that are available for free, and we only do the free stuff, and we don't put out the events that cost money. And then something else that's new, and I just want to plug this real quick, KitKeeper. If you go here to resource sharing, and right now we're doing the One Book Wyoming, and we have the school library book club kits available, and you can just go through the KitKeeper and check out a kit. And this is not for the general public, it's just for libraries. So yeah, you can find a kit and check it out, and this helps you if you want to check it out for April, it helps you find what kits are available. Right now all we have is In Our Time, but you get it for 6 weeks, so you can plan ahead. And if you wanted to do a book club with your students or staff. We have a school librarian doing a book club within our time with her school staff, which is kind of nice too. But that helps you plan and see what's available. And I am planning to get more kits up there, but just a quick plug for that. Check that regularly if you like. And let's see. Okay, doing good on time so far?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. You want me just to keep going on, or?
Unless there are any questions, I'm watching chat, and there aren't
Okay.
any there, but people can feel free to unmute their mics if you have a question.
And if some of these questions, Paige, you and I need to discuss later, just say we'll talk later, but how do you determine whether databases are kept or removed?
Going back to the Shared Purchases Committee, we don't put out RFPs or requests for proposals or anything like that. We use a committee made up of public librarians, academic librarians, school librarians, as well as two people, myself and Chris Van Berg from the State Library. And these librarians are all over Wyoming, different areas of Wyoming, and obviously different libraries. And we meet once a month and we talk about what the needs of our communities are. You know, like if you're a school librarian, your students, your staff. If you're an academic librarian, again, student, staff, but different levels. And public librarians. And we talk about, you know, what our communities are needing or what they're using. There are vendors all the time just reaching out to us. And so there's never a shortage of new resources that can be purchased. But when we land on something that we think might be worthwhile, then we trial it. You know, we set up a trial, then everybody at their respective libraries kind of pushes it out to their communities to try, and we try to measure who's using what the feedback is. And then we get together and decide if it's something worthwhile to put to Jamie, the state librarian, you know, if it's something that is even in our budget, which lately we haven't had a budget for anything. And, you know, we keep looking, we keep reevaluating what we do have, checking usage statistics. You know, if something seems to be falling off as far as usage, we look at, you know, comparable things or something that might take its place that would be better, would be a better value. But there's a committee of us that evaluate and try to make recommendations based on what Wyoming communities are using.
Yeah, well, I'll ask you some other questions some other time. I'll let you get going on this. And
okay, all right. Yeah, that would be great. I would love to talk with you, Carmen.
good.
Okay, so here is, any other questions about that whirlwind tour? Oh, and there's also a school library handbook, and that's a digital handbook with different school library issues and relevant information. And that's always being updated. So sometimes you'll see something and then the next month there'll be something more. But
That's a LibGuide, right?
that's, I'm sorry?
You did that on LibGuide?
Yeah, that is actually, if you go to gowild.net, subject guide and tutorials, and down at schools, there's the school library handbook. You can also access it via the WSL website. This is our home page. For school, if you go to services and then for school librarians, there's links to digital resources, but then also school library handbook. The links to digital resources, I still haven't fleshed out quite yet, but there's guidelines for library media programs in Louisiana schools. But a lot of that can be applicable to, you know, your local districts, and then a weeding manual, a digital version of that. Again, all of this is a work in progress, so there's a lot more coming. And school library help, yeah, links to digital resources. Let me see, marketing support. This is some marketing stuff having to do with Go Wild. So if you're looking for bookmarks that maybe you want to set out in your library, you can click on that and then print those off and cut them. And those are handy. Those are a really handy resource there. And then there's some posters as well. Oh, those are bookmarks still. But so if you wanted to, you know, put up some posters or hand out flyers for some of the resources that you want students to use, those are available. And then of course we have the monthly marketing kits, and those are like this one is the intellectual property month, and there's downloads and like a fair use checklist here. So those are really nice too. And if you're on the school library email list, these are emailed each month when they come out. So you would already be getting that if you're on the school library list. And on the agenda, there is a place, if you're not on that email list, down here in apply, sign up for the school librarian's email list. So you could click on that and sign up. And it's through WLA, but you don't have to be a member. But it's one of our primary communication pathways, back and forth. So, you know, school librarians can also post on that. Let's see. So let me get to the part. Oh, and while I'm here in library services on the Wyoming State Library website, down here we have Wyoming Library Statistics. And this again is the library services page. But this is where you can find the results of the annual school library survey. So like the 2018-19 Wyoming School Library Survey is up. And this is where you can find statistics about schools and districts in Wyoming. Now it's a voluntary survey. So the respondents change each year depending on if they want to do it, or if, you know, the person who was doing it has moved on, or, you know, many factors. But it's really interesting, and it can be useful if you're trying to sway your administration to provide more funding, or to just show them that, hey, you know, around Wyoming we have so many students using the library on a weekly basis. And then of course the schools who actually respond, those specific statistics are there as well. So in the full survey results. Okay, that's not going to let me open without saving, so we'll just save that for another day. So let's see, but there's really a lot of resources, and it's just a matter of sitting down and exploring. Or if you have specific needs, you know, say you have a specific topic you want to cover or collaborate on with a classroom teacher, you know, call up the state library and we can help you find the particular database. A lot of those databases offer lesson plans, and we can definitely help you find information that you need and help you shape it into relevant lessons. Let's see. Going to explore. I did want to go through this a little bit because Wyoming Places, it's something that is totally Wyoming related, and also hits on a lot of the social studies standards. Here's the home page for Wyoming Places, and it provides information about locations, the histories of the names of places. Also, there's usually little tidbits about something that happens in that place, or what makes it really original. There's 3,000 place names that we have listed in this database, even though there's thousands more that we don't actually have on here. But it does take a little time to put all of this in. So here's the interface. And this is really great for projects that have to do with Wyoming history, and even anybody who's just interested in Wyoming history. And it's pretty easy to search. Even you can put in county. You know, if you want to look up stuff in Fremont County, this will bring up everything that, I don't want capital, Fremont County. So here's just an overlay of stuff that is, of things that you'll find in Fremont County. And if you click on the little icons, Sheridan Pass, and then this shows you, I actually cannot, I need to move my little, the video panel there. Okay, so Sheridan Pass, the origin of name, Sheridan Pass is on the Continental Divide. And then there's just all kinds of information that you can scroll down and read. I'd really like to go. You can X out of that. You can go by feature type, which I really like, because this also, you can see all the libraries, unfortunately not school libraries, but all the libraries in Wyoming. But I really wanted to show the Pony Express stations. And this is really neat because, and this is, again, this is just Wyoming, but this is the Pony Express trail here and all the stations that are in Wyoming, starting with the Cold Springs. Now we know the Pony Express started in St. Joseph, Missouri, and it goes to Sacramento, but these are all just the Wyoming ones. So it talks a little bit about that, and you can see these pages that you can bring up and look at. Here's the full map, a little tidbit about the Cold Springs marker in Torrington, and then you can get out of that. Now there were some markers, and then there were stations as well. Some are house stations where people actually lived, and it tells you all about it. And this is just one of the features that I wanted to show about Wyoming places is the little bit of history about any of the particular places or features, plus where it's located. You know, so you have your longitude and your latitude, and if you did geocaching or you were into that, then you can actually go find these places pretty easy. But Bed Tick Station, you know, there's that, you know, so kind of fun. And some of these, let's see, here's a little flyer for, you can also click through this way. There's the map. I gotta move this. Contract with the Overland Mail Company, and tells where it is from St. Joseph all the way to Sacramento. Here's a little flyer, which is kind of fun. And orphans were preferred for this route, which is very interesting. So no family left behind. It was a dangerous endeavor to be in the Pony Express. But then also, you know, if you wanted to, you know, look at just, let's say cemeteries, you know, there's a cemetery in Riverton, cemetery in Rock Springs, you know, just fun things like that. Well, I guess cemeteries aren't that fun, but just fun trivia about Wyoming. And a lot of the names, or a lot of the little tidbits of history, you'll see that they are cited, so you can do your own research on them in the actual resources where these tidbits come from. Let's see here. You can, I seem to have lost a feature there.
Is this a database?
Yes, yes it is. But yeah, unfortunately schools, we don't have a whole lot. There's UW and there is one other. So that hasn't, I think that needs to be developed a little bit more. But Yellowstone College, probably named because of its proximity to Yellowstone. Huh, okay, that works. But interesting, yeah, and you can start your search over, which is probably, there we go. And you can search by man-made features, water features, land features, things like that. There's also, let me go back to Wyoming places, Wyoming on the map, and there's maps of Wyoming in all of these different years, all the way up to 1927. And these can be fun if you want to show how Wyoming, the territory, has changed over time. You know, here's 1865, Dakota, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Nebraska. As you see there, Dakota hasn't yet been divided. And then let's go to 1889, and there's just Wyoming and then the different counties and so on, and that's fun. The place and time calendar, you can find a date. So let's say today is October 10th. What happened in Wyoming? Well, in 1872, an article about Evanston was published by the Evanston Age. In 1913 on this date, the Laramie Peak area was declared a game reserve. In 1915, between November 1914 and October 10, 1915, 22 wells were drilled in the Torchlight Dome. And then in 1949 on this date, the Snake River Compact was signed, and it divides the Snake River and the Salt River between Idaho and Wyoming. You know, and this is fun, you know, if you want to find out what happened on your birthday in Wyoming. Well, on my birthday, there was only one thing. The Wapiti Ranger Station was designated a national landmark. So, but, you know, fun for students just to find out what happened in Wyoming on a particular day in another year. So that is Wyoming places. And that's just one of the resources I wanted to delve into because it's so Wyoming relevant, and it hits on social science or social studies standards, and it can be a really great resource for students, you know, to even pick a place, find a little history, write a story, or you know, if somebody's interested, you know, they have ties going back several generations. You know, it's really great to see, you know, what some of these places were like way back in the early 1800s, or how the name came to be, you know, so fun stuff like that. Any questions so far?
No, that's fantastic. I can see putting, using a lot of that primary source material and graphics as part of research papers, which of course is the trend, not to have a solid just text research project.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, I promote your resources a lot when I do primary source trainings because you guys really do have a wide collection of content that you can use in a lot of different ways. One of the really neat things is, like I said, you know, the inventors, the places. I mean, it's just, you can do so much with it. If you end up even looking for Wyoming history, so like the North Dakota, South Dakota people, when they're doing the United States, it's an amazing place to look for that content.
Okay, that really just covers a fraction of the resources available. And even as I talked about the resources, that isn't delving into all of them. I just delved into Wyoming places a little bit, but you know, you talk about Britannica Online. You know, there are so many resources that have such robust information. You know, it's a lot of stuff, and it's all free for Wyoming residents. And if you're at the school, you know, on a campus, you can access it. You don't even need a library card when you're on campus, which is nice. Again, it really is just sitting down and figuring out how to navigate it. So And I think it's easier if you just start with, okay, what do I want to do? I want to do a lesson on, I want to do a STEM lesson maybe on rockets or something, and then figuring out where to go from there. Or, you know, if you have time, explore and then get ideas that way. But it can be very time consuming. There's a lot in there. Again, anything you want help with, let me know, or, you know, call the state library, let us know, email, and we can help you find legislation, find anything in ProQuest congressional, you know, find, you know, how to use culture grams, things like that. So, but great resources.
Fantastic. And it's all about going beyond Google, although we love Google.
Even as librarians, yes, I know. We joke here at the state library, well, Google it then.
Exactly.
But the fact is, we also know how to do specific searching and how to do credible searching. So, I mean, it does make a difference when you're trying to teach students how to do research that is reliable. It's really important to use these resources. Okay, so apply online collaboration. You know, I've done some collaboration with school librarians, and I think they're in the reaching out. I know Jennison is, and I think Megan Dingman is as well. And you know, we've collaborated to do webinars and share what they're doing in the libraries, in their own libraries, and we share that out so that people in school librarians, educators in Wyoming can see, oh, hey, look what so-and-so is doing in Gillette. You know, hey, maybe we can do that. Plus, it helps build the community of school librarians. Oh, I remember Megan and Maggie from WLA. Or, you know, maybe I'll just reach out there in the next town over. I'm going to give Megan a call and see. Or, oh, Jennison's in Park County. That's right next to my county. You know, let me email her and see if she has any ideas. You know, I see what she's doing in her library, and that's really great. You know, maybe we could do something like that together. You know, something like, you know, stuff like that. So I really tried to bring in the Wyoming school librarians for our webinar series. What makes that pretty easy is that it can be done virtually. Nobody has to go anywhere, and that's, you know, in rural communities, that's really important because travel is not usually much of an option. So that's nice that we can do that. In the future, and this is, I had mentioned the You Also Train the Trainer thing. For the future, I would love to collaborate with school library staff. The Train the Trainer is all about bringing computational thinking and connected learning to libraries, and not just public libraries, but school libraries as well. And the computer science standards that are supposed to be fully implemented by school year 2022-23 factors heavily with computational thinking. And so I would like to be able to do, like, perhaps professional development days in districts, you know, go around and in different districts, do some of this computational thinking training, do some of this connected learning training, and just be able to bring this to school librarians, to districts, and so that they can in turn incorporate that into their curriculum. At some point, I would like to be able to do that virtually as well. That is still in the works. But I went to this training, and it was just wonderful. There were so many ideas and activities, and I think it would benefit. I think it would benefit our students a lot. So that's just something that that I'm putting out there. If anyone's interested, let me know. And this is also a great way, because it is for libraries, it's a great way for school and public libraries to collaborate as well. Because again, this isn't just for public libraries, but public libraries will be hearing from me as well. So, and it's all geared towards youth. It's about teaching young people how to do computational thinking, but also it is the connected learning portion is let's see, it's about making learning not just in the classroom or in the library. It's about also understanding that it has to do with youth interests, with their social connections, and with providing them opportunities outside of classroom walls. So getting them out in the community, or trying to connect what they're learning and what they're interested in with the outside world, and how can they parlay that into maybe a job or a career or just a fun hobby that they can take with them through life. So it's all geared towards helping young people learn more effectively, learn how to really be a part of our society, and how can they help shape that. So anyways, I'm just throwing that out there, but it's a really neat program, and I'd like to work with some school librarians on that.
Well, Paige, thank you. And that leads right into our next thing, which is the follow-up activities. If you want to just scroll down to that a little bit, since we're still on your screen.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
No, that's okay. Good, thank you. So for the follow-up activities for this webinar series, if you would like to take this for a class in place of attending TIE, or to pay for an additional credit, we'd like you to further browse the Wyoming State Library website. It is just, of course, a wealth of information. And I liked your advice that come with a problem to solve or a project you need to do, and rather than try to get to know everything, find something that meets that need. And as you do that more and more, I think, at least I've already gotten a ton of ideas just from today. So if you're a Wyoming school librarian, you're going to proceed to the assignment right below here. But if you're from North Dakota or South Dakota, we'd like you just to create a post on our Facebook group highlighting something of interest or something that you discovered through the Wyoming State Library website. So the final project will be, of course, something that you will do with your state library. So Wyoming, Paige has given you a great idea about this training that she has talked about in the apply section. And we'd like you to just select one of these options under assignment for your final project. And just a reminder, the final work for the webinar series as a class is March 30th. So you're going to create an actionable plan with your state library staff, or create something like an infographic or a video that you would share with your students and staff to educate them about your state library resources. You could present information about your state library at a staff meeting or some other PD event. And I really encourage you to present or get some information out to your parents, because much of this can be used from home too. Or you could write a conference proposal to highlight your collaboration or something that you have done along with your state library for an upcoming conference. So if you have questions, just put them in the chat right now, or go ahead and unmute your mic. Or of course, you can always email Julie or me anytime. We'd like you to continue this discussion if you discover something that you want to share out by just adding it to our Facebook group. We've got, I think, quite a wonderful ongoing conversation in our Facebook group now. And so other upcoming events, Julie, would you like to talk about those, or want me to keep going?
Oh, no, that's okay. So we are in the middle of online course 3, and people are clicking right along on that, which is nice. And then online course, that ends December 1st. So your work does need to be in by December 1st, so that we can get it graded, and hopefully that will all be much smoother in the future. Online course 4 starts on January 15th and runs until April 30th. And then the TIE conference this year is in Sioux Falls, and I've sent out the, if you're coming, yes or no. And then the next thing is once we get the hotel blocks and everything, we'll send you that information, but you will be responsible for making your own hotel reservations this year. So as soon as I get that information, I will send it out to you guys though. And our next webinar is December 5th, and that's with Alyssa. And that one is later in the day, guys. It is 4:30 Mountain Time, 5:30 Central Time. So just so you know. Same thing, we'll record it, and you can watch the archive if you can't make the live one. But it'll be Alyssa from the South Dakota State Library, and they have added a ton of new e-resources, and they have geo-authentication. And so I am really excited to hear what she's got to share with us.
And then we'll hear from Carmen in January.
Yep. And then we'll hear from Joan and I in February. So it'll be then we'll be done with the year 2 webinar series.
And it'll be time for TIE conference. In that February one, we are going to reflect and prepare for attending TIE 2020.
Yes. So if you guys don't have any questions, that pretty much wraps up our meeting for tonight. Thank you so much, Paige. This was I just love all the resources the Wyoming State Library provides. So it was super fun to get a refresher on it.
I just stopped sharing my screen. I didn't know if.
Yes, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, no, thank you for having me and for letting me talk so much about stuff.
It's great. I'm going to go back and look at that Pony Express thing right away.
I know. It's on my list too.
That's my mom and I and my nephew, when I lived in Torrington, we followed that all the way out to Sacramento and stopped at different stations. And
oh, fun.
It took us 3 days to get out of Wyoming. There were so many stations and
wow.
sites. We finally had to start skipping some, but it was fascinating. It was just amazing. That was our Pony Express summer.
That sounds really fun, actually. Nice.
And thank you, everyone who attended. If you have questions, certainly unmute right now, put it in the chat, or we'll see you on Facebook or an email.
I'll be sending you an email, Paige.
Okay, that sounds great, Carmen. And thanks, everybody. And yeah, hope to hear from you soon.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.